what is your expectation about what the response will be? Typically, Hamas has agreed to almost everything that's been put before it, usually with some like slight amendment, which then
Yeah.
ends the negotiations, and that response is considered to be, oh, this is a full-on rejection of it. What is your sense of how Hamas kind of balances this? Because, like you said, if they reject it, not only are they isolated from all of these Arab and Muslim countries, including even like Pakistan and so on, but then Trump has fully greenlit just a full-on expansion of the genocide. So how, like, what is your sense of how they navigate this situation?
Yeah. I mean, look, if we were dealing with an entity other than Israel, where there actually was a negotiation, and not this sort of ultimatum, you take this full surrender term, or else we just continue the genocide of women and children in Gaza, then what you would normally have happen, and this has happened at some points during the past 2 years, is Hamas would then go through it and they would say, okay, we can live with this, we can accept this, and zero in on a few points and say, we want clarification on these, or we want to propose amendments. I want to remind people that on August 18th, Hamas accepted almost the entirety of what Trump and Netanyahu said was the agreement that would result in a 60-day ceasefire, where 10 of the Israeli living captives would have been released, and that would have started a process. Instead of responding to that, even though the mediator said it constituted 98% of the Israeli ultimatum, they ignored it, and then they started planning to assassinate the negotiators. So, Hamas is in a tough position. My sense, and I don't have any inside information at this point about this, is that they're not going to just accept this verbatim. That they're going to try to find some way of clarifying some points, and then they're going to zero in on this issue of self-determination for Palestinians. I mean, first of all, it's grotesque. A former advisor to Palestinian negotiators, not Hamas, but in other conflicts, Diana Buttu, told me recently, that the Palestinians are being forced to treat basic food and medicine as a negotiating point, and that should be removed entirely from this. That it shouldn't be
right.
You
it's a war
either
crime
surrender,
to use that.
right? Yeah. You either surrender your legitimate international rights to self-defense and self-determination, or we starve everyone, including the elderly, women, and children in Gaza. So, I think that what might be interesting is which Palestinian groups is Hamas going to bring together to try to offer a unified response. In recent days, prior to the attempt to assassinate the Hamas leadership, they tried to get officials from Fatah, the ruling party of the Palestinian Authority controlled by Mahmoud Abbas, to join with Hamas and others in presenting a unified response to the United States and Israel, and Fatah didn't do that. Now you have Abbas, as irrelevant as he's ever been. His decrepit regime is just flailing. He was denied a visa to the United States. But you do have quite a bit of unity among every other Palestinian faction. So I think that they're going to try to present what they say as a national plan. I guess what I would say in closing is there a chance Hamas would accept this? There is. I think it's unlikely, though. But, Trump has made clear 3 or 4 days, and then the genocide, is going to just resume indefinitely. I don't see Hamas surrendering. I think that if you claim to be negotiating, then Hamas should have a right to assert its position. That's certainly what Qatar is saying right now. But last time they thought they were negotiating in good faith and reviewing a Trump proposal, Trump allowed Israel to try to assassinate them by bombing inside of the borders of Qatar, which houses U.S. Central Command, the most important strategic military asset in the Middle East. So who knows what's going to happen?
My guess, and you're way more plugged in than me, but I'm curious for your take on this, is that Hamas will accept some version of this, understanding that if they say no, they're getting attacked, and if they say yes, they're still getting attacked. So might as well say yes, build the political capital, and then when Israel relaunches the attack, it's not as if they are disarming on day one. And B, like you said, disarmament would require the UN to come in and dig up all of the unexploded Israeli ordnance, which will take decades. So it's not as if it's even feasible that they could be disarmed. Like it's a physical impossibility.
It's possible, but look, I mean, look, this is a bit in the weeds, but I think it's important. Ziad Nakhala, who is the General Secretary of Palestinian Islamic Jihad, is a figure that very seldom speaks in public. Mm-hmm. So he's the head of the second largest Palestinian resistance faction, and they're holding Israeli captives. He released a public statement last night denouncing this plan. Hamas is not going to accept a deal without the buy-in of Islamic Jihad, and it's quite noteworthy that Nakhala released this statement last night. The very limited number of Hamas officials that have been permitted by Qatar to speak, they're almost almost exclusively allowed to speak to Qatari media since the assassination strike. The response has been incredibly negative to this.
Right.
But they're saying we need to do consultations with other Palestinian groups. So what they're telegraphing right now is we view this as a document that would be tantamount to the surrender of the Palestinian cause of liberation. Doesn't mean that they won't accept it for some strategic reasons that you're saying. I don't see it at this point. I think they're going to have to thread the needle somehow, and the risk of that is that Trump just says, "Okay, Netanyahu, let's blow the place up even further."
And yeah, you can find that PIJ statement on our Twitter feed, Dropsite News, at Dropsite News, posted yesterday evening.
The last thing I'll say is just share something that our colleague Abu Bakr Abed posted in response to this, that was saying that Palestinians from Gaza should be heard right now. And a lot of people try to claim that they're speaking, oh, the Gazans want this and the Gazans want that. Oh, the Gazans are protesting this. Oh, the Gazans want to do this. This is a very diverse society. Hamas didn't win 100% of the votes. Hamas is popular in terms of Palestinian political parties, but this is a pluralistic society with a diverse range of views, and it's a highly educated society. And anyone who claims that they're characterizing the Palestinian perspective or the Palestinian from Gaza perspective is engaged in a gross misappropriation of the rights of Palestinians to have a diversity of opinion. So that's why I think it's so important that we have Palestinian reporters, that Palestinians be interviewed, that the Palestinian voices from across the political spectrum be heard. So we don't just fall into the Israel trap of portraying Hamas as the only sort of target in all of this. All Palestinians in Gaza have been a target, and all of them deserve to have their voices heard.